Welcome to SportsBeat KC, the Kansas City Star's daily sports podcast. It's Friday, June 12th, and I'm Blair Kerkhoff. An American team sport is less than a month away from reopening. Major League Soccer has a start date of July 8th. It'll begin with a tournament with teams separated into group play and continue with the best teams advancing. Shaun Goodwin, who covers Sporting Kansas City for the Star, stops by and talks about soccer's restart and some of the challenges and concerns as the date approaches. After a break, we'll hear from Sporting KC coach and manager Peter Vermes, who met with the media on Thursday. So here we go, talking Sporting Kansas City, MLS, and soccer. Hey, Shaun, you doing okay?
I'm good, Blair. As I was just saying, off air, been a little bit sick, but I mean, professionally, Sporting KC is back. It's been a busy week, so can't complain.
Yeah, that'll at least pick up the spirits a little bit with Sporting KC and the MLS back in action. The first, correct me if I'm wrong, the first North American team sport to scheduled to return to play right now, right? We don't NBA, NHL, baseball haven't started yet. We know exactly when the MLS is going to kick off, and that is July 8th, I believe, is the date, right?
Yeah, July 8th will be the first American Major League sport back at least. And Don Garber said earlier this week they were disappointed. They wanted it to be back, in about 2 weeks' time, so late June. So they're disappointed it's coming back as late as it is.
Yeah, look, we'll all be happy to see team sports return. Let's talk about the format. It's going to take it's a tournament. What do they call it? Back to the MLS or
MLS's back tournament? Yeah.
There we go. MLS's back tournament. I won't give them many points for creativity, but
it's a mistake. What sport is coming back?
Right. And we've seen that there was a draw for group play. It's going to start with group play with looks like there was a purpose to this. Some local rivalry type of groups emerged here. Who is Sporting? What's Sporting's group?
Yeah, so it was supposed to be a random draw, quote unquote, but in Sporting's group you got Real Salt Lake. Obviously, that rivalry goes back to the MLS Cup at the earliest, I guess, 2013, and you've had several run-ins since. Colorado Rapids, obviously, you've got the regional, and then Minnesota United, the friendly rivalry. So, I mean, for Sporting, you've really got three, pretty good rivalry games in a quote-unquote random draw.
Yeah, look, I was looking at the groups, and I also noticed that the two LA teams are in the same group. The whole tournament's going to start with Orlando and Miami playing each other on the first night, and the two Canadian teams, two of the Canadian teams, Toronto and Montreal, in the same group. So I think there was a little bit of a method to the madness of putting these together. And look, all the games are going to be televised, and ESPN and the fan network there, they want, or the television partners want good, compelling games, and rivalries are that. What we do know too is all these games are going to take place in Orlando at the Disney World complex, and they're going to be played without fans. And what you have followed the sport for a long time. You've coached it. You have observed it. What do you think the lack of fans, an empty stadium, is going to? How is that going to affect play, or will it affect play?
In this specific instance with the Orlando tournament, I don't think it will affect play that much. I mean, when you've looked at Germany, where they're actually playing, home games and road games, you have seen an effect in that the home team isn't winning across the whole board. The home team isn't winning as much as you'd expect typically. So I think once we get back to regular season play where teams actually playing in their own stadiums, we'll see something. But as it comes to the Orlando tournament, I mean, players aren't going to be able to feed off energy. Maybe you won't see such a huge momentum shift here and there as fans get behind the team. But at the end of the day, apart from, I guess, Orlando and somewhat Miami, every single team is on the road, unfamiliar settings. So I don't think you'll see that big of a difference between the two teams.
Okay, and let's go back to the format for a second. After the group play, the top two teams in each group will advance to a knockout stage, plus the two best third place teams
Or best.
in. Okay, yep, and anybody who's had a kid play youth soccer and go to tournaments, you kind of understand, what this format's about, right? And you can, I guess, the finalists will have played 7 games, and the knockout game or the pool play at the beginning are games that will count in the league standing. The league started and everybody had 2 games under their belts when the season was suspended. So so am I right there that for the standings only the group play will count? Anything after the group play doesn't count toward the standing.
Yeah, anything after group play doesn't count towards standings. One thing that does carry over is a disciplinary action. So, yellows and red cards, they will kind of carry through the whole tournament. But yeah, basically all 3 group stage games, which is a really interesting dynamic because, you said either for youth soccer or even it's basically a World Cup format in that oftentimes if a team has guaranteed qualification after 2 games, they'll kind of take the 3rd game off, they'll rest up a little bit. You're not going to see that here because at the end of the day, it's the group stage game, but it still counts for points in the league. So you're not going to see a dull game through this whole tournament, I don't think.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. The other thing you won't see in this tournament or for the rest of the year for Sporting Kansas City is Felipe Gutierrez with the knee injury for the rest of the year, and who's going to get his minutes and playing time.
This was going to be. I'm not going to say a breakout season for Buzio. We know what he can do. But I talked to Peter Vermes before the whole quarantine started, and he was looking to get Buzio more minutes this season anyway. Now that Felipe is out, he is the next option to slide right in there. And when you've got a guy of his energy and just how capable he is at Buzio's age, I wouldn't be surprised if this is a huge year for him personally. And I know after talking to him, he's ready as well. He wants to get into the double digits goal and assists combined. And yeah, he'll be the main contender to step in, I think.
Okay, and you'll hear Peter Vermes after you and I finished and we take a break, and Peter says, he's about to get some real minutes. And I like the way he put that, and we know what he's talking about there. So, hey, as we wrap this up, Shaun, the thought on everybody's mind as we approach the tournament here is health and COVID-19 concerns. The country and the world actually is loosening up restrictions, and we're seeing a little bit of a slide back in terms of the numbers of afflicted people. What is Sporting Kansas City and the MLS saying about safety as we approach the tournament and testing? What are we going to see with testing with these teams?
So this is from Don Garber. He said, of course, all of the fans and all of the players and the staff will be tested, and they'll make sure they're all kept healthy. They won't really interact with anyone else in or around the Worldwide Sports facility. He also says that MLS will be providing test kits to in and around the Orlando area as kind of a, I guess a thank you, so to speak. But what did interest me is that Don Garber said, as for the actual employees of Disney and ESPN, even like the bus drivers and hotel staff, MLS won't be directly supplying test kits to them because at the end of the day, they're not MLS staff really. So I'm sure they will be tested, but he's saying interesting comments like the bus driver wouldn't be tested, at least under MLS. He's like, well, the players won't come close enough to the bus driver anyway. And I'm kind of like, well, they have to walk past
Yeah,
and get onto a bus. So,
yeah.
and I don't know if their stance on that will change. But that did seem a little bit sketchy, in my opinion.
We'll just. I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see. I mean, it's
Hmm.
they're the first one back in the pool,
Hmm.
MLS, and baseball and football and hockey and basketball will all be watching how it works for Major League Soccer. Okay, we are going to hear from Peter Vermes after we take a break. Shaun Goodwin, thanks for spending some time with us, and we'll catch up again soon.
For sure. Thank you, Blair. Appreciate it.
Hey, it's Blair. We have a special subscription offer for SportsBeat KC listeners, unlimited digital access to the Kansas City Star's award-winning sports coverage. Sign up now for 1 year of Sports Pass for access to all the sports news, features, and columns presented on the kansascity.com site, and it's only $30. That's a 40% savings off our regular rate. Your subscription will automatically renew after the initial term at $50 unless you tell us to cancel. Your subscription helps support the sports coverage of kansascity.com and the Kansas City Star, and that support has never been more important. Please visit kansascity.com/SportsBeatKC offer to get this special offer. And as always, thanks for listening.
Hey, Peter. Just quick thoughts on the teams that you're drawn against and what the challenges that they'll present to you in your first games back.
I think the challenges are the same for all the teams. We haven't played in a long time, so just the fact that we won't, be in top form yet, and probably have not played a ton of games prior to that. That's going to probably be the biggest difficulty, I think, in regards to the group itself and all the groups. It really wouldn't have mattered who we got, in my opinion. And I say that because we're going to have to play everybody anyway at some point coming out of this as well. So however we start, and if you want to get to the final, you're going to have to play all the teams anyway. So I actually think the groups wound up being pretty good because there are some good rivalries in a lot of them. It'll probably be good for television.
How much of these games in this tournament are you going to be able to tinker with teams a little bit, tinker with players that you put in? There's with fixture congestion. I assume there's going to be more opportunities for guys like Zane, even Cam Duke, we've never seen with the first team yet. Are those opportunities there for your team like this in tournament? How do you approach it tactically?
Yeah, I think you go into this stuff with these, the best laid plans, but my experience tells me you always need to realize that you play your first game, and then you'll do inventory after that game, and you'll find out where everybody is. You'll find out, what your result was, and all of those things will have an impact on your next game. And so as much as I like to think that I can choreograph everything, unfortunately I can't. So it's more being able to be really adaptable and flexible based on those situations that are going to occur. And then when we get there, we'll just have to be really good on our feet.
And last one for me, is there a feeling of relief seeing opponents with penciled in games on the schedule in front of you and something to prepare for first time in a few months?
For sure. I mean, first off, just getting back to play is fantastic. Having a date, it's the way that we work in our business. Everything is centered around, dates and times and when our next opponent is and where we're traveling to. And so you're always kind of reverse engineering from that. And now having a date, a team to play, all that is going to help immensely in, what we're trying to get prepared for. I think, athletes are almost always goal oriented. So them now having something to shoot for is going to make it that much different just in training and how we prepare going forward.
Thanks.
Hey, Peter, this is Annie Peterson with the Associated Press. Kind of along the same lines as Daniel's question, does being able to use 5 substitutes help clear the way for some of the younger players to get some minutes? And also, does having 5 substitutes kind of alleviate concerns about stress on the players? And also, how does it change your kind of strategy as a coach?
So I'll go backwards. The 5 subs, I think, is very important. It's more important for, I think, us than even what the European league starting back up. And the reason being is because Orlando, the temperature is going to be different for the majority of the teams. I think I was counting, I can't remember, it was like 6 or 7 teams that when you take, the 2 Miami, you take Atlanta, that's 3. You take the 2 Dallas teams, that's 5. I mean, maybe you could throw Nashville in there as well. When you start looking at those teams, they are playing in this, quite often, right? And so they're gonna be acclimated pretty much from the start. Everyone else is going to be playing catch up. We're starting to get a lot hotter here in Kansas City, but we're not there yet. So I think that's the 5 subs is going to help immensely. Number one. I also think that when you look at it from a strategy perspective, and I know this from when we do a lot of exhibition games in preseason, is that when you put your starting 11 out on the field, and now you make 1 sub, sometimes it can tilt the scale one way or the other. And then when you put 2 in, same thing, 3. But when you change 5 guys, it can have it could take the team from being in sync to just completely out of sync. And I believe that will be something that'll have to be really calculated and measured as a staff when we make those decisions. But some of them may just be forced upon us because they're just made guys physically just may not be able to function. And what was the first part of that question?
And then does the
young guys, yeah, I do think so. I think, I don't know if it's even young guys. I think you're just going to have to use your, in some respects, you're going to have to at times be prepared to use the full complement of your roster. And especially, again, depending on how your games are coming, because you may have a game at 8:00 at night and then the next game might be at 9 a.m. So again, those time differences are going to be a big change too. And we'll have to function and make solutions for that. And I think, again, having the full complement of your roster is the great thing, is that we'll have access to it. Now it's just a matter of keeping the guys healthy.
Florida is reporting that, the COVID-19 cases are steadily rising. And yesterday, Atlanta goalkeeper Brad Kuzan talked about how he's a little bit concerned that some of the testing protocol doesn't include hotel staff as much as he'd like to see it. Are you concerned about health and safety in any way? I know that you guys helped, devise the return to practice protocol, and it was very thorough. But are there any concerns you have for going into the tournament?
I don't. First off, we're testing already 3 times a week. We're testing Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and we've been doing it now. I mean, we've done the serology test. We've done all that stuff. We're going to be doing something very similar when we go down there. There's a testing protocol even around the games. It's a little different. So I feel really comfortable with that aspect. I'm a big believer that as much as you can try and prepare for all these different things. I also think it's unrealistic to think that you are going to be 100% safe. I think it's even difficult to do that when you're home quarantined, because at some point, either somebody's delivering something to you, you're going somewhere to get something. So is it 100% safe? No, I don't think so. But I also believe that it'll be a good, safe environment. I think they'll try and take all the precautions necessary. And I also think that we're going to be in a different place in a month. And then the only last thing I would say is, and look, I'm not a doctor, but I also know that all over the country we're testing more. So when you see numbers go up, it doesn't necessarily mean anything sometimes more than, hey, they're just testing more in that city or in that state. And then obviously you're going to have more positive cases if they're testing more people. It's just part of what goes on. So I'm not so worried. I'm really excited to see what it looks like a month from now when we start playing games, because I just think things will be different than we were talking about today.
Okay, and one final one for me. How weird is it going to be to play without fans?
Yeah, that'll be strange, but as a player in the early years of this league and national team, and we didn't have a lot of fans, so I'll be able to handle it fine as a coach. Maybe some of the players, it might be a little more difficult. The only other thing I would say is, look, when we play in preseason, we play scrimmage games, we don't play with fans. The guys are just going to have to find a way to be internally motivated. One, two is myself as the coach. I'm going to have to find ways to externally motivate them as well. And let's face it, let's be really honest. Without fans, the game's going to be different. The ambiance is different. That's why, again, the optimist in me says when all this is over, meaning we come out of the tournament, my excitement on that is that I believe we'll be in a different place at that point as well. And I'm hoping that we're going to have fans in our stadium. What number that is, I don't know. Is it 30%? Is it 50%? Is it 100%? I don't know. But I feel the sooner we get back to being in front of our fans, it's going to obviously we're getting close to being back to our hopefully our better lives, and more importantly to the environment we want to be in, and so do our fans.
Thank you.
Hi, Coach. Nick Rosano from MLSsoccer.com. Just a quick one on some on-the-field stuff. Obviously, some tough news earlier this week about Felipe Gutierrez and his timeline. But I'm just curious how much it softens the blow to have a guy like Gadi Kinda, who's come in and really kind of given a good account of himself in Felipe's place. And also, does this open up maybe some more minutes for a guy like Gianluca Buzio?
Yeah, it's a good question. So Felipe is a really good player. I'd love to have him available as well, because I think we have a lot of depth in our midfield if he's available. But to your point, Gotti has done well. I have all the confidence in the world in Gianluca. He's come a long way in a short period of time, and is at the place where he deserves real minutes. And he's fighting for that every day. He's got a great mentality, great attitude. So I would say to you that, yeah, it's tough with Felipe. Never want a player to be injured and for as out for as long as he's going to be. But we do have some other solutions there, and the guys that I have a lot of confidence in, and it will provide opportunity for Gianluca, and not because of the injury, but more because he deserves it, because he's really playing that well.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Any final questions from the group? Shaun, feel free to unmute yourself and you can ask your question.
Thank you. Peter, that's not true. I was at some of your games with the national team, the Yale Bowl, New Britain, so it wasn't that bad.
I got you.
Anyway, during the broadcast by MLS of the draw, Jimmy Conrad just kept saying, "Go SKC." So is Conradinho still on the payroll?
He's not on the payroll, but the way I feel is that he's still a SKC guy, right? So
He's a great supporter of you. So.
Yeah.
The real question now is, I have the draw here. I see that you're in with, of course, 3 other teams. None of them have a full season with their teams yet. You're not only one of the most, if not the most tenured of coaches in the league, but compared to them, you absolutely dwarf them. How big of an advantage is that? The longest one is Frazier, and he came in, in the fall of last year?
Yeah, I guess you could say it's an advantage. I don't know. I say sometimes that when new coaches come in, one of the things they get is they sometimes get a good bump in the enthusiasm, because the players are so excited to prove themselves to the new coach, or they feel like maybe the reins were loosened up now that the new coaches come in. So there's little situations like that always take place. I really think the big thing for me is the opportunity to get back on the field first and foremost. And I think that we're all going to be fighting not only for results, but also just trying to get back into some good form. That's been the difficulty, right? Because if you're not playing enough games, and as I said this before, when you're playing individual and you're doing individual workouts and you're doing small group training where we were doing, 4s and 5s, you're not competing against each other. You lose sort of that ability to anticipate, react to the movement of another person that you're going against. You're not fighting somebody. Your timing's off. And it's really going to be about us getting back up to form as quick as possible. What I think will be interesting is the second and third game, because I think what you'll see is teams will probably be much better in that second and third game than they are in the first. And so what's going to happen is that they're almost going to, depending on how their first result was, they were like, man, if we could have just started out the way we played in our second or third game, we would have gotten through the group. And I think that's going to be the key to this, is how fast you get up and playing. I'm not going to say close to form, but as close as possible.
Now, I would say, based on how this is going, yes, the first few games count for points. It's always good to win. It's always good to get the biggest piece of the $1.1 million in prize money. I would think the biggest carrot on the stick, however, is the CCL. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think it's very interesting that is a part of the winner's purse, if you will. So yeah, I mean, I think everybody always wants to try and play in Champions League. Somebody wants to crack that code that we currently have, right? We haven't won it yet, and so everybody wants to be the first. So I think it's a big carrot. It says a lot about what this tournament is. It's not just a few games. It truly is an opportunity to win something that's of substance. So it's going to be it'll be interesting to see how it plays itself out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Peter, just one more quick question from me. Are there any players that are not going to play from Sporting Kansas City because of health concerns?
In regards, you mean, well, let me just make sure I clarify this. So Gutierrez would be out because of the season-ending injury.
Right.
Every other player will be available. We're still working on getting Winston Reed back into the country, but every other player will be available.
All right. Thank you.
On our roster, yes.
That'll do it for today and this week. Thanks to our production staff of Derek Donovan, Savannah Smith, Randy Mason, Beth Welsh, Jeff Rosen, and Chris Fickett. Tip of the cap to Shaun Goodwin for joining me today. Links to stories about Sporting Kansas City and soccer can be found in the show notes and on kansascity.com. Hey, earlier in the episode, you heard me talk about the Sports Pass offer, and it still stands. It's a good one, $30 for a year's worth of sports coverage, and that includes Sports Extra that comes with the e-edition. There's an additional 25 pages of national sports coverage today. Here's an even better offer. Buy the entire Kansas City Star product. Sports news, features, commentary, analysis, the whole enchilada. You get all the stories written by my talented colleagues, plus extra news, sports, and business coverage written by some of the best journalists in the country. The details can be found at account.kansascity.com/subscribe. That's account.kansascity.com/subscribe. And whether it's the Sports Pass or the full subscription, you're getting and supporting the best sports and news coverage in Kansas City and helping us produce programs like SportsBeat KC. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back Monday with a new episode.